He stopped the return of the Reapers. He took down the most infamous rogue Spectre. He saved the Citadel Council. His legend eternal, and his influence unmatched, which is why he must die. The purpose of his death made clear under the segment Spotlight. When you end a story on such an epic scale like the Battle of the Citadel, stopping a threat as overwhelming as the Reapers, the inevitable and quite difficult questions come after. How do I top this? How do I make the conflict of the sequel even more engaging? How do I make sure the audience can still relate to my hero? Well, assuming your hero is mortal and they indeed have become larger than life due to their previous exploits, there is one thing you can use to sort of reset their relatability and up the stakes of the sequel at the same time. And that is... Before this humbling death comes, Mass Effect 2 does an excellent job of reminding us why it is so necessary. Miranda and the Elusive Man discuss Shepard's importance. They remind us that he is a bloody icon. As Miranda puts it, if we lose Shepard, humanity might as well follow. The Normandy warps out next to an unknown planet. Sleek, beautiful, and stealthy, she's certainly still that ship that dealt the killing blow to Sovereign. A bit of overconfident banter from Navigator Presley on how they are wasting their time hunting Geth pockets of resistance lulls us quite nicely into a sense of comfort. After all, our girl is undetectable when her stealth systems are active, and really, what threat could a Geth ship or a slaver cruiser from the Terminus system pose to her? But the cruiser on the long-range scanner doesn't match any known signatures, and it's now on an intercept trajectory, despite our stealth systems being active. Now when Joker, the best fucking pilot in the Alliance Navy, gets scared, you know shit is going down. Because guess what? It's not the Geth. Our baby girl doesn't even stand a chance, as her hull is breached by the first energy beam of the unknown cruiser. It cuts through her like a Bulgarian knife. Wesley dies and so does his ensign. No evasive maneuvers, no way to fight back, just pure dread as our girl is hit again and again and again. Her kinetic barriers down, her weapons offline, and her hull now breached in multiple places. The situation on the lower deck is as you expect. Explosions, fire, crewmen running for their lives, chaos. That illusion of an unbeatable ship from Mass Effect 1 shattered. However, now it's time for another illusion to be shattered. Commander Shepard, the hero of the Citadel, doesn't have some "I got this" moment where he miraculously saves everyone. Instead, he's already launched the distress beacon, ordering Liara to get everyone, except the reaction YouTubers, to the escape pods. It's over. The only objective now is to save as many crewmen as possible. But the gut punches don't stop there. Joker won't abandon the Normandy, his baby girl, so we have to go and save him. A quick cinematic shows us the crew getting to the escape pods, followed by one more gut punch. Our Normandy crippled, maimed, and barely limping on as if clinging to life, and that's when we assume control as players. Running through the burning and damaged hull of the ship keeps the tension high right from the start, and I can't stress enough how important it is to hear Joker sending a frantic mayday and begging the Normandy to hold together. Again, he's the best fucking pilot in the Alliance Navy, so if he's panicking, then we should be shitting our pants. Upon entry onto the depressurized CIC deck, we see just how much damage the Normandy took up close. Our movement slowed as we walk in 0G, we do our best to reach the bridge and get Joker out. Seeing him desperately cling to the Normandy, saying he can save her is another punch in the gut, but this is no time for emotion. The Normandy is dead, and nothing can be done now. Thankfully, Joker sees sense, but a bit too late because...
They're coming around for another attack!
A final energy beam begins to decapitate the Normandy, as Shepard rushes to get Joker into an escape pod. The auto-launch mechanism was most likely damaged, so Shepard goes back to manually launch the escape pod. One last glance at Joker, and we see the escape pod is launched, and the captain... No, the commander goes down with his ship. The Normandy's explosive death rattles leave Commander Shepard floating in space, his suit leaking oxygen. From the smiling hero of the Battle of the Citadel to a panicking soldier gasping for air as he gets pulled towards an unknown planet. The sun rising over a most humbling death. Now, if it actually ended here, the fans would have been completely right to go... But instead, old BioWare let us take it in for a few moments as that somber piano music played in the background, and the title dropped. Then, just before we go, what the actual fuck, we hear those comforting words.
Commander Shepard has been recovered.
We don't know where he is, we don't know how, but Commander Shepard is alive. We see strange machinery looming above, as unknown liquids and synthetics are added to his body. As this process is going on, we see, just like the Normandy, Shepard's body took insane damage. But we're not completely sure he's back yet. Not until he almost wakes up and goes to sleep again. Then, finally, the sounds of explosions and Miranda's voice wake Shepard up. He is weak and has forgotten much, but he is alive. He's back. After grabbing his armor and pistol from a nearby locker, Commander Shepard is ready to begin his next adventure. Humbled, vulnerable, and confused, Shepard is presented to us once again as a relatable protagonist, while at the same time keeping some of his unbeatable legend status from Mass Effect 1. This is the sweet spot you want your protagonist to be in when you want to raise the stakes of your story, but still keep the character human and relatable. Old BioWare achieved this with a narrative tool called the Humbling Death. The Humbling Death is an engagement reset tool, most often used in sequels. Its purpose is to restore interest, relatability, and up the scale of the story's conflict. It can be used as an actual but temporary death of the main character/organization, or a huge loss of influence and power of the protagonist. It is best used when the ending of the first story makes the protagonist's influence almost too great. So you've seen it used in practice, and now you have the theory. So I, Arhon Okval's mentor and caretaker of this temple, will show you the lessons. Before we begin, however, one huge warning. Please do not use this tool lightly. It should only be used as a last resort when you are worried you might not be able to engage your audience for a sequel. Franchises were killed by using this tool improperly. So, to use the Humbling Death properly, you must ask these questions. The first and the most important one is, does my sequel story require this kind of reset? If your original story ended on a relatively low scale, there is absolutely no need to reset anything regarding your already likable protagonist. Once you've honestly answered this question, you can move on to the others. What sort of loss do I want my protagonist to suffer? Maybe they lose a ton of their skills. Maybe I take their base and their world from them. Or maybe I actually have them die. How permanent do I want this loss to be? Sadly, for this last question, I really don't have an answer, as it heavily depends on your story. However, if you decide to put the death in the Humbling Death narrative tool, I strongly advise keeping it temporary. Yes, it should serve as a shock factor, yes, it should show the main protagonist, no matter how powerful or influential, can still be killed, but it should not be permanent. I'm trying to think of a video game, book, or novel that actually kills the protagonist of the first story right away and keeps them dead, but I honestly can't think of one. Or at least I can think of one that didn't end up pissing off their fans, but feel free to fill in the blanks in the comments. Finally, what effect of the main character does this Humbling Death have? Are their former associates shocked to see them alive? Does the protagonist experience confusion or anger over what happened to them? Do they have some kind of PTSD from it? For the love of God, do not brush off death in some form of, "well, that just happened" type of comment. Explore it, and through it make your audience relate to your character. Also think about what the Humbling Death can do for the antagonistic force of your sequel. Are they more dangerous than the enemy of the first game because they now move with more guile and use ambush tactics? Do they now control the environment, and do your protagonists have to hide from them? Are they so technologically superior that they can wipe out your home base from the first story mere moments into your sequel? Now, these were tips universal to all creators, but now I'd like to give some just for the game designers. If you're going to have the player character from the first game die, or suffer an extreme loss of ability, it's vital that the story explains this properly, and that it actually opens up new options in gameplay. Ideally, the world already has lore that explains this type of rebirth, and your main character is just playing by the rules, maybe just slightly bent in their favor. A new life can mean the ability to choose a new class, correct some aesthetic details you wanted, or even better, offer a new set of powers that weren't available before. For example, I like how Adrenaline Rush, which was just a cooldown reset in Mass Effect 1, has now been turned into this Max Payne slow-mo power. Most likely a result of all the cybernetic implants Shepard got when Cerberus rebuilt him. Finally, let me give you some more warnings regarding the use of this tool. While it can certainly help make the character feel more relatable to a certain point, if you just keep taking things away from the protagonist, the audience will go,
Stop! He's already dead!
you don't actually want to lose the identity of your character. So that's why you should be careful about how much you take. As mentioned, the humbling death can affect entire groups, not just a single protagonist. But there is a right way to do it with proper build-up, and just an awful, alienating, bitter loser way of doing it. Regarding the antagonistic force that does the humbling, be very careful of power creep. If every single sequel to your story introduces an even greater foe to raise the stakes, you can lose relatability super fast. Lastly, and I think this one goes without saying, the humbling death should only be used once. Ideally for the second entry in your series. Use it too much and death becomes meaningless in your universe, and you want to avoid that at all costs. So with all that covered, I think this would be a good time to—
One moment, Mentor. You are once again forgetting to ask the temple visitors to—
I was just getting to that, Tempest, relax. Please, if you found value in this lesson, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You keep the temple alive and help those who are still climbing find their way here. You made it this far, so you're already a temple legend, and I welcome you to my home gladly. Explore it as you please. 3 more videos remain before we've learned all we can from Mass Effect and move on. If you think I missed something, or you can provide your own examples of the proper use of this tool, please do so in the comments below. The Temple's knowledge base grows with each comment. I thank you for your attention and wish you a safe path down the mountain. And I'll see you next time in the Temple.
Presley!